Hi friends, it's Deanna here today, and today we're going to be working on the straight fit active pattern capsule. This pattern capsule includes the basic tee, it includes the sip it jacket, the Be Active shorts, and the tank. So this is a great pattern for everybody that's getting active or just to lounge around the house really. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started, and on this video, part one of our capsule video, we're going to be working on the basic tee and on the Be Active shorts. Check out our next video where we'll be working on the sip it jacket and the tank top. So let's get started. I already have my pattern cut out and ready to go. I am not doing the color block option on this top, but if you need help with the color block option, you can check out the other video that just has the basic tee top sew along, and it will show you just exactly how to do that. Really, you're just piecing those two pieces first, the top and the middle first, and then moving on to sewing them together like I am going to do here. So we're gonna start by sewing those shoulder seams. So we're matching up the shoulders and we're matching them up right sides together. And if you can see right here with my fabric, you will see that this is the wrong side. This is the French terry. I'm using a French terry for this. So this is the French terry on this side, and this is the smooth part. As you can see, the loops. And we're gonna go ahead and sew these shoulders right sides together real quick. I'm just gonna step over to my serger. I'm going to be using my serger to sew my seams, but you can use a stretch stitch on your sewing machine. Because this is a knit fabric, it's a stretchy fabric, you will have to use some kind of stretch stitch so the stitches do not pop when you're wearing your shirt. So let's go ahead and sew that up. And we're gonna grab our sleeve. What we're gonna do is we're gonna grab our sleeve and we're gonna fold it kind of in half to see where that top mark is and mark that. Usually I put a little notch, but I don't know where I put my scissors, so I'm just gonna put a clip there because that is where I'm going to put where that shoulder seam is. That's where I'm gonna match them up. And I'm matching them up right sides together. So the right side of the top is facing up and the right side of the sleeve is facing down right on top. And we're gonna match up those edges, those raw edges together. Let me just dump a few clips here because that way I don't have to pull my basket over and over again. And we're gonna go all the way to the edge. You see that? Right there. Matching up those raw edges, and we're gonna go all the way to the other side as well, and then we'll do the other sleeve. And as we sew that, we just need to make sure that both of those fabrics are cut in there as you're sewing around on your sewing machine or your serger, whatever you're using. One of the many reasons why I love this pattern is because it is super quick to sew up, and you'll see that we're almost done and it is a great fit. So we're gonna now fold the right sides together and we're gonna match up that armpit seam, shoulder, armpit, shoulder, armpit. This is the armpit, this is the shoulder. So armpit seam, we're matching it up right sides together. We're gonna go all the way down the shirt, the bottom to the hem, and then we're gonna go all the way up the sleeve. I'm just doing a short sleeve, but if you're doing a long sleeve, you're gonna go all the way down. I'm also, because of doing a short sleeve, I am not doing cuffs. I'm going simple with this top. My husband is very kind of picky about what he wears, and I think simple t-shirts are usually the way to go with him. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. But I actually made this top with the color blocking and the cuffs for another video, and it's one of my favorites to wear. Probably should have worn it today. I'll wear it on the next video so you can really appreciate it. It is so nice, and I think it's the same, well, it's a blue and gray, so it's kind of the same color scheme, and my son also made himself one of kind of the same color scheme, so we're going to be all color scheming together. See if we can get my husband to get us a picture all together. He'd probably be like, oh no. All right, let me go ahead and sew these together. While I'm at it, I'm gonna grab my neckband, and if my arm gets hot, what I like to do And I know some of you asked me about my iron. Okay, so I make sure that I put it down now. I try not to put it up on the top because I keep dropping it and keep cracking it, and that's not good. So I'm trying to be better. But what I'm doing with this fabric is, with the piece for the neckline, I'm gonna fold it wrong sides together. So this right here is the wrong side of the fabric, and I'm gonna fold it wrong sides together. That way I get that crease. I'm gonna make a crease right here. That way when I sew my neckband on the round to go to attach it, it's easier to make the fold. And while we're waiting on my iron to heat up, I'm gonna tell you, I know I get questions all the time about my fabric. I'm using French terry for both the bodice and the sleeves. So this cam was also French terry. This French terry, I think it came from Favmere Fabrics. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's where it came from. I have a lot of fabric. And then I am wearing the Discover tee. I overlapped the color blocking option because I just love the fit of it, and I love it straight as well. And this fabric, this is a honeycomb fabric. It's athletic fabric, but it can be used for whatever you want it to use for, obviously. And this one came from Olga's Closet. So I know I get asked questions about what I'm wearing and stuff like that, and I always forget to tell you, so I figured, you know, while I was at it waiting for my iron to heat up, I'd go ahead and let you all know. Ooh. All right, so now that I made that crease on my neckband, we're gonna prep it by sewing that raw edge together. Right there, right sides together, so that raw edge together. So we're gonna sew the sides of our shirt, that raw edge, we'll attach the neckband, hem, and we'll be done with this top. How easy is that? Time to attach our neckband. I'm gonna turn my top right side out, and I'm gonna show you how we quarter our neckband so we know exactly where to sew. So I'm just gonna trim these serger tails. It's fine that I trim them because this is gonna get sewn over, so it will finish them up right here. And I'm gonna go ahead and pin, and then I'm gonna grab my neckband and I'm gonna fold on that crease line, wrong sides together. I'm gonna go from my back where my seam is to the front, and I like to do a little notch with my scissors so that way I can see exactly where I'm going to place that fabric once I remove my pin or my clip. And then I'm gonna grab and face those two together, those two clips, and gonna go to one side, and that's gonna be my 1/4, and then to the other side, and that will be my 2/4. And I'm gonna mark them as well as I go because I don't snip too much. I snip just a little bit, that when the seam allowance will sew right over that, so you won't even be able to see that little clip. It's so small, but it really does help when you go over to your sewing machine to sew it, to line up those little notches with your top and your neckband. So I'm gonna go ahead and quarter my neckband now, my bodice. So I'm gonna grab those shoulders and go towards the back, and there is my 1/2. Grab those shoulders again, go towards the front, and there's my other one. Then I'm gonna match up the front and the back where I marked it. I actually made that one super small. I can't really even barely see it, but I see it right there. And we're gonna go to one side. Now the reason why I do that is because if you see right here, my shoulder seam is not my quarter. Don't go by your shoulder seam. If you go by your shoulder seam, your neckband will not sit right, because see, on this size, it's about 1 inch off the shoulder. You see that? So that means that that's a total of 2 inches that the front is longer than the back, which means that if you attach your neckband as it is to the shoulder seams, you will be really, really tight on the back and really loose on the back and really tight on the front. And we don't want that. We want an even neckband. We're gonna grab our neckband and we're gonna match up first to the back so that we see that line. Obviously the back is the higher part because your shirt goes a little bit lower in the front, and then we're gonna match up those other quarter points to the quarter points we created on our neckband, and then we're gonna head over to our sewing machine and sew it right up. Also, while I'm at it, I'm gonna steam my sleeves hems and my bodice hems, and I'm gonna go ahead and steam them a half an inch up, and then sew those up. I'm gonna be using my cover stitch, so I know that I get a lot of questions. People will sometimes think that I'm using my serger. I'm not using my serger. It kind of looks a little bit like a serger, but I'm using what is called a cover stitch, and it gives you a very what do you call it? It gives you a very nice ready to wear look. It does the 2 lines or 3 lines on the top, or 1 line if you'd like it to, and then it does the finishing job on the back, so it does it all for you, and you don't need to worry about, you know, it looking not all the way done. So that is a tool that I love to use, but if you don't have a cover stitch, you definitely can use some kind of stretch stitch on your sewing machine to do the hem of the sleeve and of the bodice. Also, we do have a few videos on our YouTube channel that show just exactly how to hem, different ways of hemming, hemming foot, hemming feet. It's plural, I'm talking about different ones. So you want to check that out if you have questions about how to hem and what are the easier methods of hemming and things like that. I honestly love my cover stitch. I just have a regular, it's a Brother 2340 CB. It does the job. It's like an entry level cover stitch, so it wasn't the priciest, but it was one of the most economical ones. It was still kind of pricey. I saved up for it for a while, but it has saved me a whole lot of time when I go to hem, and it just gives it a really nice hem. So I do recommend it if you're in the market for one. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish folding my hems, and then I'm gonna go over to my sewing machine, sew that neckband, and go over to my cover stitch and hem, and we'll be done with this top, and we'll move on to our Be Active shorts. All right, so I like to start on my back part of my band, and I always like to have my band face up. We're gonna lift up that foot, put it right under, and then sometimes I like to go ahead and get that needle right on it. Then we're gonna grab that first quarter point, and we're gonna match up those raw edges, make sure that they're all together. We're lightly stretching that neckband to match our bodice, and then we're gonna go ahead and sew it, and then we'll stop here at that quarter point, and then we'll grab the next quarter point and do the same thing. I like to take my time with my neckbands because that is one of the most important parts of your top. You want to make sure that it's all nice and even, and you're not, you know, missing out a piece of your fabric or whatever, so you want to take your time with that. So let's finish up all the way around. Time for our Be Active shorts. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do this color blocking at the bottom. Isn't it cute that I'm going to be matching my fabrics? Yes, super cute. So the way that you'll know which one is to what, the bottom parts, the backs are a little bit longer than the fronts, but let's say you accidentally grab the wrong one. If you put it right in front like it's supposed to match, look at that, it does not match. So you know that that's not the piece you're looking for. We're going to go over and look for the next piece. What we're gonna do, what I like to do is I like to grab my shorts piece, I'm gonna put it face up on my board, then I like to grab my color blocking piece and put it face up on my board as well and line it up. Look at that, matches pretty perfectly, okay? So now I'm gonna grab it and flip it right on top of the short piece. And now we're gonna match up those raw edges. And that is literally what we're doing with all of these 4 pieces to line them up. And then, so we're going here. Now, once you get to this side, it gets a little tricky, but not really, because all you're doing is you're just bunching it up so that the raw edges can meet. So you want to make sure that all your raw edges meet. So it kind of goes around. I bunch up this little bit right here, and that's all you need to do. Then we're going to go over and sew it. Once I sew it, I probably will fold it down, steam it, and then give it a top stitch on my cover stitch to give it like a really nice finish. You don't have to do that. It is just for looks. So let's go ahead and do that to all the pieces. So as you saw, I went ahead and top stitched the bottom of my shorts just because I thought it would give it a nice look. So now what I'm gonna do is, I am not doing pockets, but if you are pockets, you would put those pockets along the outer edge of your shorts. As you can see, this is where my crotch area is, so I'll put it along the outside, using your patterns as guides to where to put the pocket, and you'd put it right side. So the right side of the fabric face up, the right side of the pocket face down, right on top, and you just put, so here's the pocket. So, and then you would have to face it down towards the bottom, okay? So that's how you would put it on there, and you would go ahead and sew it. And then once you sew it, you would steam it open like so. So here's my pocket, here's my pant, and then we're gonna grab the other pant leg, which will also have pockets on it, and you will put your front to your back. So let me make sure. These look like they're both back, so I don't wanna do that. I wanna do a front and a back. This looks like a front and a back. The way that you do that to realize that is, you see my back is longer than my front. So when you place them together, they will be, this rise will be higher on your back piece. This is my front, that's my back. And so then if you have pockets, where did that piece go? Wah! I almost fell. If you have pockets, they'll be opened here, and then they will be out, and you will face them right sides together, and you will sew down and around the pocket and down, okay? But since I'm not doing pockets, I'm just going to go straight down is how I'm gonna sew that. So we're gonna go ahead and sew that front to back on both of them. So I'm gonna sew this one. Make sure you match up right here where those seams are, so you have a nice even. And we're gonna go all the way and sew, and we're gonna do the same for the other leg. So now that we've sewn those sides, I like to go ahead and a lot of times I just like to give it a steam. Giving it a steam usually makes that edge a little bit sharper. So now I'm gonna go ahead and grab my shorts, and each leg, I'm gonna grab one leg and put it face up, and I'm gonna grab the other leg and put it face down right on top. And we're gonna sew those crotch curve right here on each side. So like my front and my back seam, and we're going around up, just sew those seams right here. And the ones on the other side. Now, if these don't match up, the seams don't match up, that means that you sewed two fronts and two backs together, because that means that each one is like, instead of being a front and back, so one leg, you've got two of a front and two of a back, so they won't match up, because these are two backs, two fronts, so back, 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 back. So if it doesn't match up right here, that means, unfortunately, you will have to take the legs apart and sew them in the right order. So let's go ahead and sew these. All right, so now real quickly, we're gonna open these up. Here's the right side of the fabric out. And this is the bottom area, the inseam. And I'm gonna grab the other one, and I'm gonna place it right sides together, and we're gonna match up all those seams and the raw edges, and we're gonna sew it all the way. And then after we sew it, we'll hem the shorts, and we'll move on to the waistband, and that will be our finishing steps. So let's do this. Now we're gonna go ahead and also prep my waistband, and we're gonna fold it right sides together. Make sure that it's not curved or anything. and we're going to sew them together right here. Now, if you want to go ahead and give it a memory crease like we did for our neckband for our basic tee, you can do that. Because this is a wider piece, I find it's easier to fold than the skinnier piece, so that's why I didn't do it, but sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. So we'll sew that inseam, we'll hem the shorts, and we'll come back to attach the waistband. Now for our waistband, we're gonna quarter our waistband by matching up that back seam first and going to the front and marking that. Then we're gonna match up the front and the back and going to the sides. We're gonna mark those sides. And now our shorts have already been basically quartered because you have 4 seams that are your quarters for your shorts. Because they're the same, as you can see, then that works. We couldn't do that for our neckband when we did it with the other one, but with this, it works. We're gonna put our seam to the back and we're gonna match the right sides together. So the right side of the band with the right side of the shorts. And then we're gonna go ahead and go sew it. We're gonna leave a 2-inch gap, a little bit over 2 inch, because we're putting 2-inch elastic in here. So we're gonna leave a gap where we can fit the elastic through the waistband. So what I'll do is I'll start probably right before the back seam, go all the way around, and then stop about 2 to 3 inches away from the edge. Then we'll fit the elastic, then we'll close that gap up after we're done sewing the elastic in. So let's do that. As you probably saw, I have no idea what I was thinking. I went all the way around and closed it after I told you all not to do it. So we're gonna open it up a little bit. Now, one of the really easy, this is a good time to show you an easy way to pull your serger tails, your serger stitch, is to actually pull at where your thread is, not your looper. So I'm gonna go 2 to 3 inches away and pull my actual thread, you know, because you've got your loopers who loop around, and then you've got your thread that goes straight through, and you're gonna pull on that. So I broke it on the other side, and now I opened it on this side, and I'm pulling it out. That's another method of gathering too, in case you were wondering. See, it starts gathering your fabric, you know, but you have to tie the end so it doesn't come all the way through. So now there's one came out, and then now I need another one because there's 2 threads. I'm gonna pull on it, your left needle and your right needle threads, and once I pull them out, then the loopers just come out magically. Yes. And now I've got my little gap right there. See that? Nice. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and grab my elastic already cut out. I'm gonna grab my safety pin or whatever you have that you wanna use to loop it through. I'm gonna go in through that gap and go all the way around, pull it all the way around the waistband. Once my elastic comes out the other side, I'm gonna sew this elastic together right here. Make sure that they're even and straight. I'm gonna sew it right sides together, the 2 sides. And I'm gonna zigzag stitch them together right here real quick on my sewing machine. All right, so now that our elastic is sewn together, we're gonna make sure that it's all evened out. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and close that gap right here with where our shorts and our elastic, where we left that 2-inch gap. Well, you left it where I had to seam rip my 2-inch gap. We're gonna go ahead and close that gap, and then we're gonna go head over. I'm gonna do it on my cover stitch, but you can do it on your sewing machine or whatever you wanna do it with, double needle, stretch stitch, light needle stitch. We're going to make some lines to make this waistband look like a ready to wear waistband. So my elastic is turning a little bit, so I'm gonna flip make sure that my waistband is correct. Okay, and then we're gonna go over to our sewing machine, or my cover stitch, and we're gonna go a 1/2 inch from the edge. We're gonna sew one line, and then we're gonna go another 1/2 inch in and sew another line, and it gives it like this nice look of a waistband. So let me go ahead and sew that closed, go over there and start. You can mark it if you want to, or you can just guide yourself by the lines on your sewing machine, however you want to do it, so that you know exactly that you're a 1/2 inch away from each other. So let's do that. All right, friends, we are done with part 1 of our capsule. The shorts look amazing, super, super nice. And the top, super cool. I love it. And I'm super excited to do the second part where we're gonna do our tank and our sip it jacket. Sip up jacket, sip it jacket. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please let me know if you have any questions. Comment, like, share, subscribe if you haven't, so you can be entered for our fun fan giveaway that we do monthly. Come check us out on Facebook and Instagram so you can see what everybody else is making, and you can be inspired, and you can inspire others with your makes. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!